a group of scientists has rated the candidates on their knowledge of climate science. Now, the results, unfortunately, they were not good, at least when it comes to the Republican Party. Now, hey, big shocker, right? But it also rated the Democrats as well. Now, according to the Associated Press, who commissioned this, 8 climate scientists and climate and biological scientists, graded for scientific accuracy what a dozen top candidates had said in debates, interviews, and tweets, and it used a 0 to 100 grading scale. Now, the candidates' comments, in order to keep things non-biased, were stripped of names and given randomly generated numbers, so the professors wouldn't actually know who said it. Okay, so it eliminates name bias. Also, the scientists who did the grading were chosen by professional scientific societies. So let's break down some of the results. You'll find these interesting. Now, the highest actually goes to Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Wow, she had the highest score of 94. Now, there were 3 scientists that didn't actually assign Martin O'Malley any sort of score, saying his statements were mostly about policy and not about checkable science, right? So, still, Martin O'Malley comes in second. Third, Martin O'Malley got a score of 91 in second. And last for the Democrats, surprisingly to me, was Bernie Sanders with 87 points. Now, Sanders actually had the lowest score among Democrats, and the scientists dinged him for an exaggeration when he had said global warming could make the Earth uninhabitable. Now, if you remember, that was from the first Democratic debate. He said, quote, "The scientific community is telling us that if we do not address the global crisis of climate change, transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to sustainable energy, the planet that we're going to be leaving our kids and our grandchildren may well not be habitable." So he got hit for that one. He got marked down quite a bit on that one. Now, the scientists, they sort of disagreed with that statement by saying they actually said something a little bit more optimistic. "I would not say that the planet will become uninhabitable. Regardless of what we do, some humans will survive." No, that makes me more comfortable. Harvard's Jim McCarthy also called the comment an overstatement, as did other scientists when Sanders had said it. Recent research on the worst heat projections in the hottest area, the Persian Gulf, finds that towards the end of the century, there will be a few days each decade or so when humans cannot survive outside, but can live inside with air conditioning. Oh, lovely. Oh, that sounds great. But I guess we won't all be dead, at least. Sure, only a few days every decade that we can't survive outdoors. But hey, at least we're alive. So knock them down a few points. Okay. So yeah, hit with an overstatement. Look, if that's the worst they can find on the Democratic side, I'm actually relieved. I can live with that. Now, when it comes to Republicans, oh boy, it gets bad. Let me break down the scores here first. So just to give you a number representation of where all the candidates on the Republican side, how well they did. Jeb Bush scored at about a 64. Chris Christie, 54. John Kasich, 47. Rand Paul, 38. Carly Fiorina, 28. Marco Rubio, 21. Businessman Donald Trump, 15. Ben Carson, 13. And coming in dead last, it's not Jim Gilmore, it's Ted Cruz. Yes, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas had the lowest score, coming in with an average of 6. Oh man. Of that, Michael Mann, who's a Pennsylvania State University meteorology professor, wrote of Cruz's statements, and you'll love this, quote, "This individual understands less about science and climate change than the average kindergartner." He continues, "That sort of ignorance would be dangerous in a doorman, let alone a president." Oh. Now let me give you an example of the stupid of Ted Cruz on this. There was an August event in California's Orange County where Cruz told an interviewer, Quote, if you look at satellite data for the last 18 years, there's been zero warming. Zero. Not happening. The satellite says it ain't happening. Now, if only I could edit in a spittoon sound at this point, because that's exactly what that deserves. In fact, Florida State University James Elsner said that ground data shows every decade has been warmer than the last since the middle of the 20th century. And satellite data-based observations show continued warming over the past several decades. In fact, federal ground-based data, they said, which scientists say is more reliable than satellites, shows that 15 of the 17 years after 1997 have been warmer than 1997, and 2015 is on track to top 2014 as the warmest year on record. But it ain't happening. Kindergartner. Oh. Now, while Cruz got the lowest score, Trump actually brought out some of the more colorful and terse critiques. Now, Trump had said in a radio interview in September, quote, it could be warming, and it's going to start to cool at some point. And you know, in the 1920s, people talked about global cooling. I don't know if you know that or not. They thought the Earth was cooling. Now it's global warming. Actually, we've had times where the weather wasn't working out, so they changed it to extreme weather, and they have all different names, you know, so that it fits the bill. Oh God, this guy's leading the Republican field. What a clown. What a horrible clown. Now, McCarthy, who was a former president of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, called Trump's comments nonsense, while Emmanuel Vincent, who was a climate scientist at the University of California, Mercedes, said, the candidate does not appear to have any commitment to accuracy. Well, that sort of fits the Trump candidacy in a nutshell. All right. So, isn't it sad that we have a political party whose highest score when it comes to one of the more important issues affecting the future of the human race and the planet gets about a 64 out of 100? That's barely over half. If I got one of those, well, that essentially means that you failed. A 64 is a fail. And where one of the candidates has as much knowledge as a kindergartner. Oh, that's sad and pathetic. Oh, that's so sad. And for a ranking U.S. senator, in which that's what Ted Cruz is, look, you can understand that Donald Trump, I mean, he's a reality show guy. So, of course, he could be stupid. And we'd be like, okay, we get it. You're dumb. But Ted Cruz is a sitting U.S. senator. And he knows less on the issue than a kindergartner. That right there isn't funny. That should be outright terrifying.